Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. I'm very happy to introduce my first-time panel with my special guests, Frank Castle and Elsa Dillon. Frank is a writer, producer, MC, host of Frank Castle Fearless, and a founding member of the music group Heist Click, as well as a neo-shaman. Neo-shamanism is not a single cohesive belief system, but a collective term for many philosophies and activities. Frank's most current music project, Sons of the Sun, debuts high-frequency, futuristic nostalgia, vibes back into the listening environment of music lovers everywhere. And my other guest, Elsa Dillon, is the mother of 8 children with husband Richard Dillon, and they are a family of 10 experiencers who live on a farm in Byron Bay Hills, Australia. Both Elsa and Richard are international fashion photographers and videographers, shooting celebrities and behind-the-scenes professionals for magazines and advertising for over 3 decades. This is the Dillons' second incarnation here on Gaia. They are a family of oversouls, all called in together again to incarnate in this realm. They have experienced over 600 beings to date in many forms of multidimensional realms. With their oversoul connections, they receive messages and happenings with the paranormal. Now, all of the links will be found below in the description box. And today we're going to talk about transdimensional living. Frank and Elsa, welcome to the Quantum Guide Show.
Thank you so much. It's so good to see everyone. Greetings, everyone. Positive vibes. It's very nice to meet you, and bringing high frequency to the conversation.
Yes, absolutely. So as I was saying, actually before the show began, although all 3 of us have interdimensional or transdimensional experiences, they don't necessarily look the same or manifest the same way. But I think the overall point is that these experiences have helped us to have a better grasp on why we're here, meaning, in human form at this time, and hopefully have something positive to bring to humanity. So I was wondering if, I'm not sure, how about if we start with you, Elsa? How about if you share with us maybe 1 or 2 of your experiences that you would class as interdimensional or transdimensional, and so that the viewers and the listeners get a little bit of a picture of what we're talking about when we use those terms.
Yeah, this is interesting because we've created a lot of the language to suit babies, our children growing up. So we would have to explain what was going on. 1, so my head would understand it, and 2, so their heads will understand it. And we weren't in any social, spiritual groups or following anyone, so we didn't know. So if I speak and something sounds weird, please pull me up, because I'll be able to unfold it a bit more. So transdimensional to me, my understanding is as that you're experiencing something in multiple realms at once. What the interesting thing is that we are all doing this all at once, all the time. It's just whether you're tapping into it. That's it. Are you able to tap into all of those at the same time? What used to happen to me was I, as a child, and all the way up into my adult years, I would feel like an airport come in my head. And this is, the human coming in saying, "You're going crazy. How can you hear that many voices and dialects at once?" And it would hurt. Sometimes I would feel noise from sunlight. This one was quite painful here, or at the very back of my neck. And that one had a different feeling. It didn't feel like an airport, but it was this overwhelming noise coming in. Because I just saw it as a disturbance in the force, like in my body, I wasn't even aware or tapping into it. But once I understood that this is actually a dialects coming through, this is code, this is downloads, this is God's energy or God's Christ energy, my oversoul, whoever it is, it's coming in. Then I actually started to see the patterns and the frequencies of it. And then it stopped being noise, and actually I could decipher the different, whichever one I chose. So then I actually could choose. And this is, this was just my unfolding with it all, and getting over myself thinking I'm crazy, because this is an egoic thing, and it's the ego saying you're special, you're crazy. Well, you're not special. You're actually tapping in. You're doing what you came here. You're just doing what you forgot to do. That's all. But the programs come in, the training we've had in our school systems, and it tells you you're crazy. Once you get over this factor, over the fear, over the doubt, it starts to become a bit clearer, and you'll be able to practice the multi-dimensional. That kind of makes it sound not as fun now. It becomes easier though. It gives you ease and grace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it does. It's a show. It really is a show. It's a play, and it's for our souls to act in. And you have a choice.
Mm-hmm. Can you give us an example of maybe one or two of the beings that you have communicated with, or an experience from one of your children? Because the whole family, as I understand it, has these experiences.
We have so there's also, so the way we describe it to the kids is that when you go out and you see all the stars, that's how many different beings there are. So to say there's only one group, and when we hear that's only one group, we laugh, because even in that one group, there's versions and versions and versions of them, and there's both sides of them. It's who you connect with. It's law of attraction. So sometimes if you're in a headspace of if you've been around a lot of other beings, like other humans who are in a sort of a negative space, the first version of those beings that come through might come through as dark.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had this. And then once you get over yourself, so you're getting over the fear and the doubt, we actually see them shapeshift. And then we actually realize then they're not what we thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
We feel into them more, and then they change. So something that might have seemed like a huge black dark shadowed type dragon is actually a lost soul that is stuck and doesn't know how else to get our attention. This was the only way.
Mm-hmm.
This was the only way. So we just had a ghost encounter with the kids. This was last week, and this being has been going around the house and sort of rattling the kids in the morning. We get up early, and a lot of them are doing gym in the garage. And it was only staying on. It was a definite masculine type energy. He was only staying on one side of the house. So the kids finally tell me about him, and I start asking the kids, and there's eight of them. So 5 of them have experienced this same being, but no one's done anything about it. They kind of sort of just, it's him again. I said, okay, well, maybe he actually wants our attention. So I asked who he is or what he needed, and he's from like 200 years ago. So imagine how we look to him, because we're on phones. Like, we would look like ETs, right? So you start to see it from a different perspective and have compassion and understand that maybe the energy that you're feeling from this so-called dark shadow being is just him being, he's confused. He's flipping out. Why am I here? He might have had a sudden death and doesn't even know he's dead for 200 years. Like, I couldn't even imagine what that would be like. So now you understand why his energy is like that. So we just do a simple clearing, and the kids are all in on it. The next day, angel encounters, one after the other, and I personally haven't had that many angelic type encounters, but we're getting them in the sky, we're getting flashes through the day. And so it went from assisting a lost soul to angelic. How does this happen? I have no idea. I'm happy that I have no idea. I'm okay with it, but I'm just saying. But this is so 5 children and myself. The angelic experiences then happen with not only myself, but the same angels are coming through in interviews and sessions I'm doing that week. So now it's happening with 5 of our children and audiences and people that are interviewing me real time. So this to me is multi-dimensional, because we're going over 200 years ago, we're going through the generations of my children, and now we're also going global. So they're showing me how connected we all are, as long as we can tap into it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Did I explain the experience?
Yes,
Okay,
that's a great example. Now, Frank, do you want to speak a little bit to, I know we talked about a few of them on the last show, but do you want to repeat any of that, or do you want to share something new, or?
It's amazing because prior to my ayahuasca experience, I thought I was crazy. My mind, and I could explain it because I can see, like I could describe what I see in my mind, used to look like a Taurus, and it was like all those little boxes were movie screens, and they would jump out at me constantly, and I felt like I was never ending with this pace that was so incredible, and it would burn me out so often. when I drank ayahuasca, I learned how to focus in on that and realized, oh, I'm not crazy, that's all me. And I started connecting to it and clearing out trauma from each one of those television screens, which seemed to go infinite, but I cleared out so many that they stopped being trauma based and started becoming really high frequency. The guy that made the other choice, the young child that went left instead of right, I was readjusting all the screens, and then I had my own, and it was a big screen, and then it went from a screen to an empty void space, which is so much more comfortable. From there, it's quiet, not like it is with the thumping upstairs right now, but it was an amazing experience. But right prior to, let's say, my music career kicking in, my brother and I had a paranormal experience, and then my beard turned white in one giant strip in one night, and my brother, who was about 14, I think he was 14, the sides of his hair bright white, like your hair. My hair, I was like, it frightened me to death. I saw a being in my living room. I saw a man in my living room looking where my grandmother was sitting, and the light was on in that room, but not in my room. So I came up the staircase and saw this and ran at him, and he looked at me and moved without moving his feet. And I was frightened to my core. I stood there, but it looked like my grandfather, but my grandfather was sleeping upstairs. It moved past me, went into the other room. My brother saw it, thought it was me, had an interaction with it. He collapsed. I thought he was having a heart attack. So I was like, this can't be real. And then we both watched it go out the back door. I go in the living room. I'm the next day, I'm telling my grandparents this because they want to know what happened to my face. Why am you bright white? What did you dye your beard? I heard all these things. And I said, we were frightened last night. But as I was talking to my grandmother, telling her the story, right behind her is a picture of my grandfather's father wearing the exact same thing as the guy that was there. And I even looked at him and said, Grandpa, is that you? And then I couldn't move. It was like my body was in shock. So sorry about all the noise. There was so much happening. And then the family starts admitting at the dinner table that night all their individual experiences throughout the years, that this has happened so many times that when they hear it from me, they're laughing. They're like, oh, you finally saw him. Did you smell the smoke? He comes through in the cigar. I'm like, nobody's ever, there's 9 of you here. I'm from a big Italian family. I'm like, nobody's ever just mentioned this. And they're like, well, your great grandmother, she's into that stuff. It was always that stuff. Like they really Americanize themselves. So then moving forward, during my first year of ayahuasca experience, I'm a shaman. So I make everything myself. So I was making it. I couldn't work with no one yet because I wanted to perfect it. So I had to try it out on myself constantly. And one night, an angel, ayahuasca came to me in my basement. I would drink it in my grandmother's basement at like 2:00 in the morning. The most frightening place in the world, by the way. I would just throw stuff on the floor, candle. I'm like, if you're going to get me, you're going to get me. If not, let's do this. So everything kept telling me and showing me I was source. You're Frank, but you're source energy. You're the light body being the creator. I'm like, all right, whatever. So ayahuasca walks into the room, and for the first time, she was the same size as a human being. Like she looked like my mother, and she held me, and she wanted to dance. And I said, oh, ayahuasca, we're at finally, like, you're not this huge, beautiful goddess. You're like a normal sized person I could just talk to. Because she was standing there, she grabbed my arms and she said, Frank, we're going outside. Somebody wants to meet you. I went outside. Now, my mother's window was open and there was a small awning in between us on the second floor, but I was up on a porch, so I was pretty close to her. But she couldn't see what was going on. I come out onto the porch and ayahuasca hands me off, and an angel comes right through the roof of that and lands in front of me, says to me, we need to talk. Now, I didn't believe in any of this. Even growing up Catholic, I thought it was a hoax, the whole thing. I didn't believe in angels. I was like, oh, the guy from the Bible is going to send his people to me, and I'm going to be like, oh. So I said, who sent you? Your God? I immediately confronted him. What are you doing here? And then he said, what are you talking about? You sent me. And I said, what? And he touched my arm right here. And I instantly remembered the whole thing. I had like full recall of me setting up the entire experience from all the way back on the other side as we were programming Aya to be allowed to be in this holographic matrix, to build her a housing that we could all live on, right? To put this giant soul in. And I remember the whole thing all the way back. And I was like, yo, you guys have to come back and wake me at this point. I'm going to be too thick in the head. I'm a meathead. You got to knock on the door. And he showed right up. And it was the most amazing experience I had in terms of the angelic realm and all the beings attached to it. And there were so many of us here that were angels and that had angels around us, and they were there the whole time. And they were protecting people from everything, from like slip and falls and car accidents, and there was like miracles being performed daily. It was the craziest experience for me, but it all happened like that. So I was outside for 4 hours on the porch. So I was lost in, I don't know where I was because I was under ayahuasca, but I was standing on the porch just talking to Aya and the angel. But I thought I was having like this internal experience, but externally I was having a full conversation that my mother heard the whole story. She heard the whole thing. She confronts me the next morning and says, you have the most wonderful friends. Since you've come home, the people that you surrounded yourself are amazing. I said, what are you talking about? She goes, I heard you all night talking to your friend. Who is that? I've never heard their voice before. I said, sit down. I got a story for you. Right? That story helped my mother drink ayahuasca. So just to show how I'm in the Bronx in New York City, how we couldn't be further apart and so different and so same. It's right there. And I'm just shocked. I'm amazed. And I'm so happy because I know I'm not crazy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to tell you a little bit about an experience that happened to me. And this is when my really profound, obvious what I call transdimensional experiences started. And for me, transdimensional, I think, can be a lot of things. Like, for instance, when people pray and they're praying to the God of their understanding, isn't that transdimensional? Isn't that going from the three-dimensional, what we perceive as rock solid here and now, into another realm? And so it could be that, right up to me having experiences of being physically someplace else and having all kinds of adventures. But when it really started for me, I had moved into a house, and I kept having these, in my imagination, these visions of me killing myself. And I was undergoing a very, very rough time. Basically, my children had gone to live with their dad, who had remarried, and I was suffering. I was in a deep state of grieving because once they went, the situation was such that I couldn't see them, and it was just killing me. So there was the state of grieving, which I believe lowered my vibrational state to a very low level of being. And at the same time, I think there was the spirit of, or whatever, of somebody who had offed themselves in that house. Funny thing is, 2 years after this experience, obviously I didn't do it, but 2 years later, I met a woman who knew the mother of the man who lived in the house before I moved in there. And she told me that he had offed himself in a very specific way, and it was exactly the same way that I was compelled to kill myself. Well, what happened? This is before I understood what was happening to me. In fact, I had just left the church. I had been a Jehovah's Witness for 17 years, so I really did not have a frame of reference for any of this. But what happened was, before I was seriously going to do it, I had an angel. Well, I don't know if it was an angel or angels, because it was like 1,000 points of light, with light flashing out the sides that gave them the illusion of wings. And they all spoke at this very same time in the very same way, in perfect unison as one voice, but it was thousands of voices. And they told me that if I wanted to exit, I could, but if I wanted to stay, they would encourage me and they would give me a helper. And I said, well, what kind of helper would you be offering me? And they said, that's for you to decide. And I said, I can't think of it right now. I'm overwhelmed with the experience. Can I tell you later? And they said, of course, we're never far away. We're always here. And so what happened was, in time, the gift I ended up choosing was wisdom. And I'm not saying I'm the smartest woman in the world, but I have gained wisdom through my experiences to course correct in the now and make every tomorrow better than the day is today. And I've just been given some wonderful insights and gifts. But that was the beginning of my what I call my transdimensional experiences. Now, before that, I had glimmers of experiences and thought I was crazy, and I would run to the psychiatric industry. Now, I'm not saying people should or shouldn't access the psychiatric industry, but I'd like people to get something from this show where maybe they might want to consider that if they're having experiences that other people aren't talking about, maybe that is a natural process for us. I later understood that I needed to keep to have enough faith in my life and in the seen and unseen supports to keep my vibration higher, so that I wasn't necessarily tapping into the negative. So the way I see it, and I could be wrong, and you don't have to agree with me, but the way I see it is there's different frequencies of communication with beings that are seen or unseen. And depending on where we're at, and as Elsa said, law of attraction, we will attract beings on whatever level we're at. And so I think that's what happened, but it really helped to wake me up to the fact that I'm not crazy. It was a great gift, a great, great gift, even though it was a painful gift. And after that is when I started having all kinds of other adventures. So each of us have shared some of our experiences, and I believe these experiences are natural. I think they're part of our soul evolution, our reason for being here. And I don't know about you guys, but it sure makes my life richer, absolutely richer. And I've learned things that I can learn other places. I'm at a point in time where it's really hard to know what's true anymore. You put on mainstream media, and quite frankly, I think all of it is a distortion. But then I go to the alternative media and social media platforms, and a lot of that, I think, is also people's ideas of what's going on, but not necessarily truth. I don't even know if there is a truth with a capital T. But I'm just wondering, Elsa, let's go back to you. Do you want to talk a bit about how you see this process? Is it something that benefits us? Is it something that holds us back? What's your perspective on the whole thing?
The way they assist me a lot is the root word, the origin word, and the root word for simple, dumb, stupid, silly is open spirit. The crazy ones, open spirit. Now, if you see how they treat ones with different ways of looking on things, or they don't understand education system and they can't use it. A lot of Indigenous have trouble understanding Western schooling system, and so instantly they're classed as stupid. You don't have an IQ. Well, IQ to me means that you're just able to follow the boxes of the matrix. The ones that have, this might sound weird, but we call them crooked pupils, or alphabet diseases, or ones that have been affected by medicines. These ones, the ones with, they've actually got a block on the matrix, and we were shown that to the ones that follow the matrix, they'll seem like the wrong ones, but the ones that are reversing the spin on the matrix they will see them as the right ones. And through us being able to be multi-dimensional with Alzheimer's, with autistic children, that they are in multi-dimensional realms all the time. You just don't know it. And if you can tap into this energy, there'll be great gifts for you and for them. And this is where we are now. We're at a pivotal point of understanding this right ones. So the magical ones, the magic call shoots out to people like Karen and Frank. And now you've heard the magic call through, and you've been practicing it, for quite a few years now. And now you know how to read it. So now you're showing through your experiences the others how to help read these others. And so this is how it's like a bit slow, this turning part of the spin, but then it shoots faster. And I feel that this shoots faster is coming next year. So you'll be out, instead of looking at them as a disadvantaged one, you'll actually look at them now as a gifted one. And it will be a beautiful process, but there's always the cleanup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Now, Frank, you being a neo-shaman, you would totally get that, because I think historically the shaman were often people who had alternate perspectives from the main group that they were involved in, and that's why they became the shaman, because they could see and do things that the everyday people couldn't. but I don't want to say too much about it. I want to just see what you have to say about, do you think this is something that's benefiting humankind, and just what's your take on it? Hi guys, break time for a short message. YouTube will not monetize me, so if you enjoy my content and want to support my efforts, help me to cover my expenses by visiting my shop to buy yourself a beautiful orgone generator. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand, and they are ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. They are only available through my website, www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. Many people are finding comfort with Zendome's orgone generators, commonly called Orgonite. They are a simple compound which balance ambient energy by converting negative energy and EMF into positive healing energy with many easily confirmed health benefits. They are a simple compound with alchemic and energetic properties. These devices function as self-driven, continuously operating, highly efficient, negative to positive energy transmutation factories. They help diminish the harmful effects of electromagnetic frequency radiation by attracting and converting negative energies, retuning them into new and more healthful sound and light wave patterns. And they help to purify the atmosphere and accelerate plant growth. They also help stimulate positive mood and are a natural remedy for poor sleep patterns. When Orgonite is within range of any corded or wireless electronic device, it will efficiently and continuously transform that energy into orgone as it is being transmitted. This essentially creates orgone energy transmitters out of any and all emitters of harmful negative energy. You can use these devices for focusing the mind, healing, meditation, and for spiritual growth. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand of orgone generators, and they are only available through my website. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out my website to see my latest selection at www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. That's KarenHolton healthcoach.com. Check them out today. Now, let's get back to the show.
So I'm finding out as I go through this experience that, and being in the Bronx, there's a lot of angry young youth running around here. It's a problem. It was a problem when I was young. It's a problem now. Nobody goes through their rites and rituals of a small tribe anymore. Nobody understands the real mother-father role. And what you were saying about the spin, I was shown we're in the mirror reflection, right? So in the mirror, everything is reversed. That's why we're having problems when we're like, it should be like this, but it's actually like that. I'd go to start my my Merkaba, and it would be spinning already, and I would try to reverse spin it, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, it's supposed to spin the other way. They're like, no, you're in the reverse, and now you're coming back to normal. You got to reverse the spin on that. I'm like, oh wow. Ooh. So now I'm here in my little apartment quietly helping people, because we all know you're not supposed to ayahuasca, you know, you're not supposed to be able to just do that and where you're at. And I'm on a train line, like the subway runs right under me. So, and I'm on the main floor, and I'm in a high traffic area. And I'm like, this is really weird that I would be here having these experiences with the people of my group in my age bracket seem to be drawn to me through my voice, hearing it, the frequency. Then they'll travel to the Bronx from all different areas of this planet, right? They'll come here, and it always turns out that we're all just angry children that somewhere along the way got traumatized and everything got confused. And then as that is cleared, I notice that the train lines are on the ley lines here, right? And that it's washing the ley line every time me, my wife, the cats, somebody purges something around here and restores it energetically to what it was, reversing the spin back to the true original way. So I'm on top of this, pouring all of this traumatic energy out, pulling in all this other energy, anchoring in source energy, because the transdimensional, it's layered, right? So in each layer, there's just infinite versions of you in all directions that have done all crazy things, plus everyone else doing that's sharing these spaces. So there's infinite amounts of goodness. So I'm like, listen, I'm source, right? Yes. All right. So let's connect to the highest. Send that energy directly to me. I'm grounding right now. Here we go. You ready? I'm taking a couple of breaths. And I notice everyone's attitude changes. All the cats are happy. I could pick up any one of my cats and just kiss their faces. No. They're Bronx cats. Trust me. No one else can do any of this stuff but me and my wife around here. So it's you start to realize like the birds are almost singing for you at this level. When I met different characters, I call him Space Jesus, right? But he showed up on a day where I wasn't on ayahuasca, and I was holding my cat outside, and my cat just needed to be held like a little baby. And I picked Buddy up and I started kissing his face. And then I was singing just about Buddy, the cat. And then the birds, the trees are in the yard with me. And it goes from tweeting the way they normally do to almost tweet singing. And I said, oh, listen to how the birds are singing along. I thought it was a joke. And then when I turned, there were people standing around the front of the yard. One of them was Space Jesus, was right at my front gate. And then I saw dudes, I call them, they looked like they were in Star Trek. And there was a UFO floating over the house across the street. And it was just sitting there. And I was like, wait a second, what just happened? They're like, hey, you finally reached the frequency. We could just talk to you. And I opened the gate. I let him in. I shook his hand. I tell the story all the time. And then I said, hey, he was wearing the robe, the white robe. And I said, he looked so normal. He looked like a regular guy. He looked like he was from California or something. And I grabbed the white robe and I said, wow, that feels great. Does that stain? So you get a million things you could ask Jesus when you meet him. And the first thing you ask him is his white robe stains. He came right in and he started talking to me. And the frequency just kept going. And I said, what's going on? And he goes, just if you remember anything from this entire conversation I'm about to have with you, remember that I only want you to believe, out of all the things you've ever heard about me, that you can do the exact same things that I do and more. Everything else is a lie. I was not born on Christmas. You got to stop with that shit. And I was like, what is going on? It was so surreal. I go, did you come with those guys off the ship? Why do they look like Star Trek? And that day I learned about Galactic Federation characters, starships, spaceships being, or whatever you want to call them, with ET characters. They're right here. People think the skies are clear. Ever since I started drinking ayahuasca, I could pick the ships that are cloaked right out of the sky. And some of them are gigantic, where I've had like open contact, but under ayahuasca, in it, like we'll go to another state, we'll be like in an Airbnb. And then you'll feel my clients, they're everything changes. They relax into the whole experience, even though some of it's so crazy and traumatic, but we're all there together. So everyone's kind of holding hands if you have to. We're all purging into buckets together, and you feel the vibration, like you felt the sun with the vibration. You would feel it everywhere, and then boom, like you pop through some bubble, and then you look up, and everything that was just there is different. It's like more. It's like, wait a second, there's way more colors, and there's things in the sky, and there's things moving around in the environment. And that's how I've met a multitude of beings. And they all tell me the same thing: as you raise your frequency, it's your job as the creator, who's been everything already, for us to greet you. You know, a lot of times you think all this craziness has happened, and there's a lot of crazy, but a lot of times it's you're talking to when you witness one of these other beings, that on purpose, so you're not scared, so you recognize the energy. And then they're from an entire race of those beings, and there's infinite beings out there. And I'm like, this is amazing, and one thing after another. And the more this occurs, and then like these little contacts keep occurring, your body starts making adjustments and unlocking, and you start to evolve a little bit quicker, and your body can now sit in that new energy. Whereas a bunch of the newbies, I was shown from ayahuasca, when you drink ayahuasca, you have to purge. and it's a very rough experience where you like throw up in a bucket. You might have to go to the bathroom. So they were like, imagine a collective experience like that, but now it's your entire, I've drank 100 times or more. So they're like, okay, take all those experiences, collapse them into a singularity, and now collectively the whole world has to do that. And I'm like, without ayahuasca? And they're like, without ayahuasca, even though we're all there helping. And I'm like, that sucks. That sucks for everyone. They're like, well, that's why you're here. You're here to lift that, to be the buffer zone between that. Someone's got to be the example. And we're the example all across the board, all different versions, infinite versions. So if you don't like Frank, there's always someone else. But we're all basically, all roads are leading to Oz in our scenarios. And the unlocking scenario is all happening pretty much the same way. It's like a spiraling up staircase. One thing happens, then another thing happens. And then if you go up too many staircases and it's crazy, you go down 2, but you went up 3. So you're still up 1. You know what I'm saying? And it just never ends. Everybody always thinks there's a completion. I go, yeah, you're God in capital G in the body. You're the source of everything. That's the mystery that everyone's breaking for. Once you find that out, you got to go all the way back down and start with that thought and start over. So just start building that up, the faith and the belief system and the structure that's unbreakable and unshakable. Stand in your truth. It's time. Right?
Well said. Well said. Elsa, were you wanting to comment on what Frank was saying?
Oh, sorry, I'm very reactive. So as Frank's speaking, he said things that, so he sees Christ or the version of Christ, and then in the background you have a saw going, right? But there's no other saw. It's only when he says that. A saw is a seer. This is his name, Frank's name. He's a liver. He's a seer. So then as Frank's talking, he's got all this thumping going on. He's in the Bronx. I mean, you know, you've got all that energy there. You do. You have all that energy. And you said you have trains going underneath you. So we were shown with these angels the last few days that luck is territorial and it's black and white. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. I've never thought of luck as territorial. We practice feng shui, we have for years, but now feng shui has taken on a whole nother flavor. So luck is territorial. So you create your luck through will, through your breath, through your act. So everything that Frank is speaking of, if you weren't in an allowing state, you would be flipping out. This is, and this is what I think Frank's bringing attention to, is that this is what's happening now, is if you've been in denial, love that word, if you're denialing it until now, and then you have all of Frank's experiences right now, wow, you know, this would be huge. And I agree, if you had our last 3 decades all right now, all in one day, this would be very challenging to the atoms, the ions in your body. They would be feeling discomfort. They would be feeling something's wrong. They would be feeling definitely they're crazy. So yeah, it's challenging. And then Frank says, if you're not happy with Frank, there's always someone else. And I'm going, did he just say Frank and else? Because my kids call me Elsa. So I'm like, this is so, it's interesting. Us humans, the words tell us the story all the way along. And again, like Karen said, it's multi-dimensional, tapping into it all, and it's all right before us. It's all right here, all right now, just tapping into it and allowing it with the ease rather than going, no.
One of the craziest things, I had a giant mushroom experience the other night, and it was really crazy. And they said to me at the end of it already being traumatically awesome, where I was crying and freaking out. They're like, there's one more thing you got to let go of. And I'm like, well, come on, man. Like, I've been letting go of everything the whole time. And I just keep doing it. I have no more karma left. It's instant with me. And they're like, no, you don't understand. You got to let go of the story. You're no longer any of this. You're now this, right? So you have to let it go. Oh God, I'm feeling it now. And I said, I don't want to let it go. Now I'm a shaman in it all the time. And I'm like, what do you mean let it go? What do you mean it's over? Like, I didn't know what they meant. It was too grand of a thing. And they started to show it to me, and it looked like a painting. And the painting was like shifting, and it was moving, and it was morphing into all these different things. And it was pain and trauma, but it was all these other things that were so beautiful. And I said, I don't want to let it go. It's beautiful. It's too beautiful. And they're like, nah, it's just chapter 2, Frank. Close the book. You are now earned your superhero costume. I'm very much into comic books. They were like, you've earned it. You're on the team. Like, you're doing it. You've become the example. So now you can't be the other guy, because that's not an example for anyone anymore that you're touching with. All of those people have someone in their sections that will be there for them, but you're now advancing. You're like senior class graduating to come back to teach. So you have to do this curriculum instead. And I started crying, and then I said, just take it from me. And it pulled it out of my chest. I had no idea there was connections that looked like that. It moved out of me, and I cried. I was on my knees, and then I stood up, and I said, I'm never going to be on my knees again. Everybody forget you just saw that. And I stood up, and I felt so light and amazing. And I said, wait a second, new chapter, new game. I started rearranging things in my apartment, and all of these good things started happening inside this chaos, as you could hear upstairs. There's been magic. I keep screaming about the magic. I'm like, everything's okay. We got a kitten. I got 12 cats, but a kitten just walked in one day. Just came in with the elder cat, just walked in, looks exactly like the elder cat, to find out that it's one of our cats that passed is back. And I was like, this is the most amazing thing. How could life not be fantastic now? I've already been on the bum trail. Life was so, I was on a stage with 25,000 people screaming my name, and it doesn't do for me what this kitten does for me. It's not the same. And I have a kitten, and I have superpowers, and people are going to start experiencing that. But the collective experience is going to be like a giant ayahuasca purge. And it's unfortunate, but it's not really, because I know the hard work I had to put into it. We have to understand what's going on. And it's a hard truth. It's a hard lesson. Everyone got duped. I just woke up. I'm 10 years into this, but 20 years into the conspiracy of fluoride in the water and all that stuff. I knew about all that, but I didn't know about the other stuff, ETs and all that. I didn't believe in any of that. Space Jesus, no way. Now, him and I work directly with Shiva and Kali and Ganesha. I don't know why. My grandmother looks like Lakshmi when I'm under. She looks just like her, but stands with her. My wife looks like ayahuasca, but like my wife. And I keep saying, use of the seeds that are sprouted. You are just like me. And you are the ambassador to the planet. Now you got to start. With great power comes great responsibility, Frank. Stand up. I'm like, okay, I'm up. Right? And it's a hard truth to live in. People get frightened from the thought of letting anything go. Imagine letting go of the story. Just saying it to me, who's been in it, and letting everything go was the hardest thing in the world. Now you don't have ayahuasca. Now go do it.
Wow.
I feel for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the other thing. A lot of people are, running around kind of high on, I guess I'll use the word ascension, and it's all light and love and butterflies and roses. But to be honest with you, for me, it's been a lot of messy work, a lot of muck work, a lot of physical discomfort, as well as mental, emotional, and spiritual discomfort. I think that's tied into a little bit what you were saying, Frank, about letting go of the story, and tied in with what you were saying, Elsa, about adjusting the spin, and it's a huge process. But it's so amazing. I wanted to also touch briefly on the psychiatric industry. How it's been is how the construct or the matrix has been maintained is as soon as you step outside of it, start having experiences, you're labeled as mentally ill, you're labeled as psychotic, you're labeled as some kind of a threat to society and removed and put into an insane asylum or burned as a witch. I mean, there's many ways of doing it. And even right up until the mid 1980s, if you were acting in a way that wasn't mainstream acceptable, which was very narrow, you could go to the doctor and he'd take a little hammer and an ice pick and tap, tap, tap in the corner of your eye and squish out part of your brain to change you. Like, I'm not trying to get gruesome here. I'm just trying to say this is how big a threat this is to the mainstream, to the construct. And then you add on top of that what I call the ascension symptoms, which is the many different discomforts that go along with shifting out of the matrix. You know, it is not for the faint of heart. It takes great courage to continue. But oh my God, we get to a certain point, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else, ever, ever, ever. And I'm wondering if I can get you folks' thoughts on that, Elsa.
Okay, so hospital, we learnt about in January this year, February, as we were losing our dog, and she was in the death process, and lots of people said, so you're giving your dog hospice, and I was like, no, we're not giving her anything. We're just letting her have her natural last breaths. And they said, no, you're giving her hospice. And I was like, no, we're not giving her anything. And they said, hospice is a practice that you're doing natural, you're allowing. I was like, oh, so I check into hospice. Hospice origin meanings is ghost guest. What is a guest? A ghost guest. A guest is someone you've invited, right? So ghost guest. Hospital, pit. Hosp is a pit. It's a container. It's a area of holding. It's a holding bay. Hospital. Ghost, guest, pit, tell. A hospital. We got taken to in the heat of the lockdowns here in Australia, and my little girl had broken her arm clean in half, like the whole bones. And I'm freaking out. I'm in my human, freaking out in the middle. Everyone's got masks on. I will not wear a mask, and neither will my husband. So we're in a hospital not wearing masks, and little girl's broken arm. But I'm going, okay, you want me to experience this? She goes in for x-ray, freaking out about the x-ray because it's EMF, and this has been a big deal for our family. And I'm going, okay, pull it together. Your experience is meant to experience this. All the beings. I start seeing pain bodies. I see beings drop from the ceiling. I'm seeing people following the doctors around. I'm seeing people talking to their oversouls, trying to talk to their bodies, lying in the bed. Then I see all the lost souls. I mean, if you want to know multi-dimensional, go to a hospital. They're all there walking around. And as soon as I knew, they were like happy that I knew them. Because how long have they been doing this for? How long has this lost soul been walking behind this doctor trying to get his attention? Jeannie comes back from the x-ray and she's still in shock. No medication still. She's still in shock. I lean down, I whisper in her ear, I think we might be here for another reason. As soon as I say that, the swelling in her arm goes down. She stops crying and she said, Mum, do you see those people behind the doctor? And I said, yeah, I do. And she said, why aren't they listening to him? And I said, because they're not here on this plane. And she goes, oh, they can't see them. And I went, no. And she goes, what about that one under the bed? What's he doing? So now she starts to see all the same ones. So now I'm seeing it and she's seeing it. So she's confirming it for me. Hospital, you have to admit yourself to a hospital. I admit myself to the hospital. When you put someone in a psychiatric ward or a retirement home, you admit them. And so you're giving them consent. It's a big topic. It's a challenging topic. And there's a lot of great things that happen at hospitals too. But now I know that birth and death are portholes. And it comes back into what I was speaking about before. Once we understand this, instead of saying, oh, no, they're dying. Oh, okay, they're in the death process. Let's be with this together. And great information you'll learn. And they've taken away free birth and free death. My name, I was named after this. Elsa, born free, the lioness. My parents named me not for born free. They named me because I was the loudest child in the hospital. They thought I sounded like a lion. Born free is something that we do not do anymore. We don't practice this. This has been taken away because we admit to it. Mm-hmm. And the same with death. And I learned this from a lot of farm animals that pass here. We see them born and we see them die, and every single time it's a porthole. Beings, ET, craft, even military through the day, all come round. It's like this. It is. It's a ghost guest zone. Again, tapping into the multi-dimensional. That's just one version.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
My grandparents both had this thing with dying in the house. Like, I'm staying home till I die. And everyone visits me, or my buddy says it, that we're death walkers, right? So we help the process of crossing death through the portal. We walk them through the portal, basically. So sometimes you're aware of it, sometimes you're not, right? My grandfather shows up. Now, he was a strong man, and he couldn't walk at the end, and it really just pissed him off that he couldn't use his legs. When he showed up, and he just showed up out of nowhere, like, bang, hey, Frankie boy, check this out. I got my dancing legs. I'm like, oh, you guys are all okay. We're the ones with the problem. And then he's like, absolutely. Did you see what your grandmother looks like? I'm like, yeah, she's floating on a lotus. I don't even understand what that is, but it looks amazing. And I go, and you're dancing. He's like, I got a lot of people to go see. He goes, there's so much going on you're not aware of, and we're right here, and we're fully accessible. And then he just bounced. Fully accessible now to me at any time. My wife's aunt passed, and I was walking on the parkway, and she showed up, and I said, oh, hey, what's going on? She was walking alongside me, and I started to see, like you were saying, the other beings that are just walking around with other people. And I was like, wait a second, there wasn't this many people walking on Pelham Parkway 2 seconds ago, but now I'm talking to a ghost. So, but I know she's like physically there. And she said, and she even made the fake cigarette smoke because she loved to smoke. She went, do you see? You could see me. Do you see what they're doing? They're bringing the whole matrix down. Panel by panel, we're removing the whole thing. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to watch this to the end. You're going to get to a point where you walk in this place. You think it's death and that we're out there, but we're right here in front of you. And if you had like one step up in the frequency, let's say 5D frequency, what people talk about, we're just accessible. We won't have a flesh body, but you're evolving into a point where you have it for 3D use and whatever, all the density usages. And then at the higher densities, you just walk in. Like the body just transforms. Well, we have that ability as well here. But you guys are going to walk through with your flesh. That's not in our contract. Our contracts were to get you here, because you guys are for as strong as we were, you guys are the ones that are really, I mean, we re-locked down the area. And then when I ask, well, who else is here? Where's the other shaman like me? And they're like, well, you're there. And I go, well, so where's everyone else that's helping? They're like, everyone else is doing what they're supposed to do, but you're there. And that's what made my whole world change from being in the Bronx and being like, oh, I'm never getting out of here, to being like a superhero. Like, you mean nobody knows? And they're like, this was 10 years ago. They were like, not really. And then I'm like, we're on the ley line. Do you want me to take this back from reptilians? Like, how am I supposed? I'm not Conan. I don't know how to do that. I'm chubby and overweight, and I have a back injury, and I have 12 cats. And all of this magic started to occur. It's like everyone is with me. And then we eventually anchored that down and locked it in. People come here, they don't want to leave. It's a little 1-bedroom apartment in the Bronx on the ground level, which isn't the safest place in the world. But yet it's the safest place in the world, and it's the best place to be. They're like, well, you did that. I'm like, how? They're like, you're just being you. Just do what you're doing. Stop looking so deep into it. Do more. Just do more. Have fun. Create. Go sing a song. And I'm like, yeah, I love to sing. I love to make music. Yeah, I think I'll just make another song. Boom. Everyone, the frequency jumps again. This is how it works. I wish I was in the countryside or something where I can be not bombarded by all this, because I can see it. So it's annoying, but I've learned to tune out a lot of stuff. We work to the way where the whispers in your ear, I just look over and I'm like, you serious? You're going to try that on me today? You realize that in your realm, they call me Demon Slayer 5000. I make a joke out of this. I bring everyone cake and say, whose birthday is it today? And I go to smash a demon. I go, whose cake is it today? Who's getting it? Because if I don't make a joke out of it and have fun while doing it, my energy won't be there, and it'll be too frightening. It'll be too overwhelming. Just way too overwhelming. But once again, a little bit at a time, as you creep up those stairs, it just starts to feel great. I went from being down to never being down again. My whole life. I've done it all. And then nothing compares to just this part. The last 8 years, I kiss even the trauma and pain away. I'm like, I can't believe this is real. I would have never guessed this in a million tries. And they're like, yeah, and we're all here for you. Right? And I'm like, whoa, this is above my pay grade. They're like, no, not really. Get ready. All of you get ready. I'm like, I'm ready. And then when you said by next year, I'm getting that too. I had visions, and then the visions changed. But now it's back to the original things I've seen in the very beginning, and they keep calling it the optimum timeline. Mm-hmm. And it happens in some point where it's not in New York. For me, things change when it gets cold, but not snowing. So it could happen on either end of the winter or on the spring next year. So you're absolutely 100% correct. We're about right there. I don't do dates and times with people, and I try to keep away from that stuff, but I see it. I see it every day, and I feel it getting closer. And you can taste it. It's in the atmosphere, and it's a crazy thing here, right? So someone's got to cushion that. Someone's got to be like, no, it's okay. And I go, but why me? And they're like, well, you in this area because you can. That's how they put it. You can. You've been practicing this for lifetimes. And so have you, and so have you. We've all done it. I go, it's weird. I have knowledge of things I would never think I know, like space stuff that I shouldn't know, and dimensional stuff. They're like, you're on the ship every night practicing this. And I go, practicing what? They're like, you're in a holographic reality, organic reality in real life with a matrix overlay that's being removed. So you'll come on the ship and practice how to handle that and handle people in all scenarios all night long, which is why you feel like you're never sleeping. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Because I wake up and I'm like, oh, no, if that happens, you got to do this and shift into that. Everything shift and pivot. Just like in football, we used to just shift on the line. You'd see somebody move and go, okay, all you got to do is turn, relax. Don't get all nervous. Just turn and look at them this way. You'll be fine. Now just do what you're supposed to do. And I'm like, this is amazing. It's like a big coordinated event by capital G God on the highest level. I'm just happy to be part of this. Because I thought I had nothing for so long. Nothing. It got empty for a while. The music industry was filled with crazy. Real crazy. Not crazy like us. Right? Like baby eating crazy. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm. So we still have a few minutes left. I'm wondering if we can shift, well, we sort of already are into, so we're having these experiences, and what good are they? What are they bringing about? How can we use our gifts to help make the world a better place. So for me, basically, I believe in becoming the change that I want to see in my life. And it takes a lot of work. And by the way, Frank, I also wake up exhausted in the morning quite often because I'm busy all night training and learning and having these amazing experiences. But, so besides being trying to be the change I want to see in the world, and that's not easy work. That means me every single day working on being more patient, being more loving, being mild, non-reactive, staying in my truth, so many things. And let's face it, at this point, it's still a bit socially isolating to have these experiences and hold to our truth. But I think, so that's the one fundamental thing I try to do is every day work on becoming the change I want to see in the world. But the other thing too is to work at not ever denying my experiences and my learning and the things and sharing that information, even though I know I might be subjected to ridicule, even though it means I have maybe a diminished social network. Or just being content with what is right here, right now, whether it's just a cup of tea or my kitty cat. I've got two. I don't know how you do it with 12, 13 now, I guess. I have two and they're a handful. But I just would like to get your thoughts, Elsa and Frank, on how do we bring this to the world? Or is it just as simple as what you said, Frank? Just keep doing what we're doing. Just keep doing what we're doing, living authentically, 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour at a time. Elsa, what are your thoughts on this?
So in 1997, the stars told us of this year. They said you'll go global, but we thought we were fashion photographers, no children. So so the stars know. So if the stars know, like Frank says, they know, others know, right? So the stars knew about now. Okay, great. That's great. So we were also shown that just prior to this date, this year, you're not meant to meet the others yet. And the others were the Karens and the Franks. They have to have their own experiences and then they'll come together. And they won't come together they'll come together in their unique ways, but all connected. This is what they show me. So they wanted us all to have our different versions, our different identities, so that the others could see. So we've all got these different versions to assist for the territorial luck. So where Frank is the crystals, the stones, the rocks, the way the water has been shifted or moved, the way the energies are. Frank is designed, he's a higher breed for that zone, as we are for this zone, as you are, Karen, for that zone. And this, I agree with what Karen says, is even we have to practice. We've been practicing, and it's just more like driving a car to us now because we've been doing it for so long. Whereas these ones that are just all doing it in the last week, they have to practice. And this is what religion is. You practice daily. This is what the monks do. You practice. You can't be a great ice skater without practice. They make it look easy and you think that you can do it. You go put the blades on, you're on your ass, literally. So you practice and you make it part of your daily routine. You are where you are for a reason. There is no randoms. Everything is here for a purpose and divine reason. People that cross your path, everyone is a gift. Use your gifts and just do it and practice it. Does it feel good? Stop doing it. Does it feel, sorry, if it feels good, do it. If it doesn't feel good, stop doing it. This is be in your senses, taste your senses, feel your senses. This is what we're here to do. By us doing it, and showing the ease and grace. The ones that can't see it yet or are just seeing it will see the ease and grace in us. They'll see our smiles, they'll see our lightness, and they're naturally attracted. It's like the bugs get attracted to the light, or the animals on the road get attracted to the headlight. It is this. They're mesmerized by the light. But it's a practice. It's a building, because we're reversing the spin. So when you reverse the spin, you got to unpack everything this way now. You know, last 2 weeks, I had a big purge. I'm like, really? Another one? I did ask for it. So my left eye exploded blood, not out, but the whole eye filled with blood. The night before, I said, oh, you might have to turn this up a bit so I can share information. Well, wake up the next morning, in my face, my eye is... So, yeah, we like you said, Karen, we still have to unfold things for us as well as we go. We just understand now a bit better.
It's weird to become the example for others means you have to walk through it. So this is why I do my show based on only my experiences. So I have to have my experiences to even do an episode of the show, to have something to talk about, because I don't want to talk about the other stuff. Everybody wants to talk about the world stuff, and they want questions answered, and everything's questions, and not doing any of the work. Right? So every time I'm having an experience and showing up, if it's true what they said, that my voice will attract others and the story will help others, then I'm just out there planting seeds like Johnny Appleseed. That's it. That's all I'm doing. And if I could, and I've connected to the web we create by locking down the different area locations across the planet or across the plane. We're creating this web, and then we're finding out that some of our people, let's say, to keep it more fun, we'll say like that are up on the ship, that are really like your soul tribe. You know, you'll find someone on the other side of the globe, but you connect to them. So like, wow, this is amazing. And boom, there you go. You're locked in. Right. And then it's almost like you're just pumping awesome juice from one person to the next, creating a new web. And that web is what's stopping the matrix from spinning the wrong way. And then we are spinning up the staircase, unraveling the DNA that's been compressed inside of density. So you've been like densified, like hardened, so you can walk around in this 3D space. But the body is built, the actual flesh, when you turn on your DNA strands to unravel that, all the trauma from all lifetimes, plus all the information from all your fractals everywhere, because you're meant to house source inside the body, starts to unravel, and you get lighter because you release it back, and the universe accepts it and accepts what you're doing, and it rewards you for the bravery of doing that. So there's nothing better than that. Every drug I've ever done in my life, and I'm not a hard drug user by any means, or never was, but I did do some drugs, and I would write music all the time. It would just, the rhymes would fall from the skies in my mind. Ayahuasca said to me, you know why you do that? Because you have a little choker on your cord to source. We're just going to take that off. And she flicked it off, and it turned into a beam of light. It looked like I was getting beamed into a spaceship, except that was my head. And then I was like, wow. And I never did anything again except smoke some pot. Like nothing. I had terrible back and neck injuries, and they were giving me everything you could imagine, including spinal shots, so I could walk around. And I just stopped everything. Everything. I've never been to a doctor since. I'm not saying that I'm healthier or not, but they said I couldn't walk by the time I'm 50. I'm 49, and I just did 10 standing squats on a shifting block at 25 degrees. I think I know what I'm doing. Right? I think I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to the pharmacy every day. Right? Just remove the P. Me and my wife make this joke every day. They add a letter in front of it to make you think oh, this is cool, but they really mean you remove that letter. It says pharmacy. I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to anything called that. Rite Aid, where you go pick up at the pharmacy at the Rite Aid. Why is it RITE? Because you have to go in there and willingly accept the drugs and medication. Get me out of this crazy dark magic spell that you have around me. Well, you stop by standing in your truth and saying, no, I'm not going to do that. And you realize your body's meant to transform and you can just start healing yourself. Now, hospitals, doctors, good for broken bones? Absolutely. There are things they're good for, and there's things that they're not. It's terrible for other things. So balance is necessary at this point, and discernment at the highest levels.
Yeah, that's really interesting what both of you have just said, because I myself, I don't know, it's been 15, 20 years. I haven't taken any synthetic chemical drugs whatsoever. In fact, I just recently got a new doctor, because sometimes you do want to have a doctor, but at the same time, I just am real clear. No, I don't take anything. What do you want? Most people my age, I'm 67 years old, they got their bag of pills. Oh, this one's for this and this one's for that. I don't have any of that. I live life fearlessly, to borrow your word, Frank. And if I have pain, then I go have a hot bath, or I go lay down for a while, or I meditate. Like there's other things. I had a prescription for cannabis, which I was using for pain. And for some reason, about 4 months ago, I just decided I was going to take a break and stopped using it. And what I realized was, and this is not saying anyone else is doing it wrong. I'm just saying this is how it worked for me, is I found cannabis was wonderful for making the intolerable tolerable, but I needed to move back into the intolerable to find other solutions. And I'm not saying cannabis is wrong, and I'm not saying I'll never use it again. If I had that much pain, I would definitely use it. But I'm just saying that I needed to move back into that discomfort, into that intolerable zone, so that I could find other ways. Perhaps my diet needs further adjustment. Maybe, there's so many things. Or maybe it's part of, again, this whole ascension process where we're changing on a biochemical atomic level. Of course, there's going to be some discomfort. But we're coming close to the end of the show, and I thought maybe what we could do, since all three of us have services to help other people adjust and awaken, why don't we go around and start with you, Elsa? Talk about where people can find you, what you offer, what you're prepared to do for people or not do. It's up to you what you want to say. And then Frank, how about you follow Elsa with what you do? And I thought that would be great, because for people, especially that are just waking up to this, it's a lot. It's a lot. And sometimes you need a little bit of support just to get you oriented and on your way. So Elsa, do you want to talk about what you offer?
We are like Frank. We offer our experiences, and they're just in us. And these experiences have given us information that there's just no way I would read it. A lot of it doesn't even have words. They're like feelings. Because we've only been coming out for just over a year and a half. So the service that we're offering at the moment is a one-on-one session. And basically I meet with someone one-on-one and I hear their frequency like we have done today. And then I just go there. Every single session, I have to say, is completely different. The last 3 that I have done have great global information, not just for that person, but it's actually information globally that we're going to share. And I find this very interesting through the sessions, because in the sessions, not only do the person that I'm meeting get upgraded, myself, or information can come through that could help all of us, right? We have all the children's drawings, but we we've got all them coming out as well. But how it happens, we explain to people, if you need us, they say, well, you've got to pay for your sessions. And I say, well, yeah, you do, because I'm coming away from my family. I'm not working as photographer like that anymore. We're not in that industry. So if you need us, money will just turn up for you. And so many people who have no money say that as soon as they had the calling to contact us, money showed up for them. And I say to them, this is what we've all been talking about. It just shows up as you need it. If you're meant to do it, it will show up. And so this is what we're doing. The other thing I wanted to share is 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had a calling to come to America. So we're planning on being in Houston in the beginning of December for 2 weeks. So haven't traveled since September 11, so it's exciting. I don't know really how it's going to happen, but again, as we need it, it will show up. And this is just how it works. If we're not needed, we won't show up. It just seems to work this way.
That's amazing. Yeah, traveling's a little scary, right? It makes me nervous to think about it, but also there's a point coming where we're going to have to take some of this on the road. I don't know how, I don't know, but all I know is as you magic forward, magic just keeps coming. So like for me and my clients, I only do one-on-one. I'll maybe, if there's a second person, fine. My wife's a shaman as well. We can handle that and only that. So you get your experience, but I have a heavy filtering process, and it usually just tells me it's going to be that person. And then I go through the filtering process, and it's always the person she tells me it's going to be anyway. So, but I don't just trust on instinct alone. I like to double check and cross check and check. And I see that the ones that are supposed to be here, because it's the ones that wake up, they fully awaken, or they start the process in a big way. My clients go through what I've gone through in 10 years in the first year now. So they'll have like 2-3 experiences, and then they're catching up with me immediately because they have to. I keep telling them, I'm just here to help. I'm telling you the story. If the story helps you, then let's do this. Come out, come see me. Now, it's like Fight Club, right? We're not allowed to mention Fight Club. It's Ayahuasca Club. I live in New York City. You're not allowed to talk about Ayahuasca Club. However, I talk about Ayahuasca Club, but you got to be in my presence to do it, or on a personal call. And then we can go through the filtering process and see how things are handled, right? And then through that, ayahuasca explained to me, I want these specific beings because they won't have their hands in the air waiting for some Jesus character to show up. They'll just take action. Right. So she's like, that's what I want. I want my people here. And you're allowing my people to filter through, because there's a lot of people that'll assume, oh, it's like a drug. So they want the drug experience, but they don't realize, no, you're going through the rite of passage you're supposed to have gone through when we were children in a tribe somewhere. So you understand the benefits of both this energy and that energy and what's going on and your role in it and how it's really cool. Except we got adult babies running around. That's what it looks like to me. It's everyone's wearing a diaper, and just because you look like an adult, you don't act like one. If you did, we wouldn't be in this mess to begin with, but it's not your fault, so don't worry. It's a collective thing we have to do, right? You're worthy every day. Every day you take a deep, I'm worthy, and you get up, and then you start the process in whatever direction you decide to do. Plant medicine's your thing. Come see me, right? You want to be read? Go see someone that reads. You want cards being thrown down? Go see the card reader that you feel attracted to. Then use your discernment. Check on things. You get a mental download. Go on Google. I meet a lot of these goddesses like Sekhmet, and I didn't know who she was, but I knew her energy. And I went through this whole thing, and she never revealed herself. And then I looked it up, and she said, I wanted you to look it up and put I want to see if you'll put your good foot forward and do this work. If not, I'm not going to bother with you. And I did it, and she's there all the time now because I put the good foot forward. Take responsibility, take the next step, because it's happening. It's all happening. So you could find me at Fearless Tribe or Frank Castle Fearless on YouTube. IamWeAreFearless.com is the website. It's basically just for items like shirts and mugs and stuff, if you want to show your support. And at Sons of the Sun on at YouTube, if you want to hear the music, it's all high vibrational, high frequency music, hip hop, electronic, rock, all mixed together, fused into something that's a futuristic nostalgia taste and touch to it, to bring back what we're missing in today's music, right? So we're putting the positive messages back out there. Just come pay a visit to us, right? It doesn't hurt, right? Shine a little light.
Yeah, terrific. Now, before we go, I'm going to come back to you, Elsa, in a minute to get you to say where people can reach you, because some people will be listening to this on the audio podcast. And of course, all of our links will be in the description below. And I also wanted to say that what I offer are sessions, and they're also one-on-one. And I think that I will never tell people what to do, and I will never do the work for them. But if they are willing to come to the table and willing to take their own responsibility, what I offer is I will validate their experience, no matter how weird, no matter how bizarre. I will validate their experience. And there's another thing that we give besides support, and that is the three of us, when we do sessions, one-on-one, or, if by chance by a small group, but mostly it's one-on-one, we actually pass something interdimensionally to the person who is reaching out to us. I can't explain it exactly. I can't explain exactly how it works. You could look at it as a bit of a positive contagion, but we definitely affect the lives of those we interact with when it's on a very authentic, real level, and people are changed forever. Now, I'm not saying we're going to make all their problems go away. I'm not saying we're going to make their life blissfully beautiful. Not at all. But there is something that operates, I would say, through us and within us, that when we're supporting other people, we definitely pass something on to those people who are reaching out. And you can find me, again, my links are below. And of course, you can find me on most social media podcasts platforms at Karen Holton TV. I'm also available if you Google the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton, you'll find all my audio podcasts. And of course, my website, which is KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. Of course, I'm a different kind of health coach. I have nothing to do with the medical industry. And my name is spelled KarenHolton, healthcoach.com. Elsa, I'm going to come back to you so that you can tell folks where they can find you.
So you can find us we're on Rumble, YouTube, Telegram, Instagram. Just link in and you'll see all the links. We are called, our business or the website is called Spin Beings. So SPIN Beings, BEINGS.com. And my name is Elsa Dillon. So on YouTube, we have lots of videos. We put together a lot of visuals, just tidbits to lead you to people like Karen and Frank. And we support shows like yours, Karen, because they're like gold. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, just Frank and Elsa, do you have anything that you want to just say in parting to the viewers and the listeners? Anything you're compelled to say, or you could just say goodbye. It's up to you.
The information is priceless. Take whatever resonates with you. Leave everything else behind. Don't worry about it. When we say closing the chapter and letting it go, you still remember it. It's still there. You just got to release something with some intention and intent, and you got to do it. You got to mean it, right? And that's what we're lacking today, the real meaning and the definition behind things. But we're getting it back one person at a time. And for everyone that wakes up and kind of starts going on that path, it's better than 10,000 with their hands in the sky waiting for space gods to show up for some reason. Here, you're the space god. It's you. It's always been you. Love you. Thank you very much. And you know, when I can't help someone, I refer them through the line of the people that I know, and then I know the energies there that I can trust, and you can believe that for sure. So if you don't find it in me, you might find it in one of the ladies, or you might find it somewhere else, but you will find it. You will find yourself, right? Stay positive. Remember, the universe rewards bravery. Stay fearless, everyone. And thank you so much for letting me be here with everyone tonight. I love you ladies so much.
So they knew about us, the ancients. They all spoke about the Hopis, the right ones, the chosen ones, the golden ones. Frank just held his hand up like this. The ones, we are the ones. It's the ones of the matrix. 1111000 11100. We're just reversing the ones now. So we're all the ones. We're just finding the right ones in us and others, and we're just spinning it back the other way. That's it. This is it. We're just re-spinning it back. We're okay. We're okay. Just go with it. We're okay.
Wow, what a great session. Guys, I'm so grateful that you came on the show today, Frank and Elsa. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys so much. I have deep respect and deep love in my heart for you and for the work you do. But I'm also very grateful for you, the listeners and the viewers. Without you, I wouldn't even have a show. Thank you for watching the Quantum Guide Show. Hope you have the best week ever, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for joining me for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube and other channels at Karen Holton TV. Click the like button, leave me a comment, and share this podcast with your friends. Check out my website at www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you will find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton and also the Aliens and Angels podcast on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.